Hello and welcome in this tutorial on how to use the service-based business financial model template. This specific template that I will show you today has been designed for a barbershop, but it can be adapted to any other service-based business, like for example, a nail salon, a pet grooming service, hair salon, massage parlor, any other service-based business. So let's start. In the first tab, which is the color coding tab, you can see you can see the different cells that you will encounter in the model based on their color code. So you can see that we have input cells, which are the yellow one with blue font and dotted border. Those are the cells that you can modify in order to adapt the financial model to your specific business. Hard-coded cells are color-coded as a blue font, dotted border, and white background. Those are cells where the value has been hard-coded. There is none in this particular model. The output cells are the result of a formula. Link cells are cells linking to another cell, and not applicable cells are cells that can be ignored because they are not considered by the model. As we will see, when you select something, when you build a certain scenario in your model, the model will automatically adjust in order to be adapted to your specific scenario. And so it will color code certain cells as red, as in this case, so that to let you know that based on your scenario that you are modeling, you don't need to fill those cells. The next tab is the table of content, which gives you an idea of all the information that you can find in the different tabs that you can see down here. So we have the input tab where you have all the assumptions and the input cells. We have a dashboard where you can find metrics and information regarding the results of the model. We have the financial statements with the 3 pro forma financial statement for a period of 5 years or 60 months. So the profit and loss statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. Then we have the valuation, where we provide an estimate of the value of your company. And then we have the calculation steps with month-by-month specific information regarding all the metrics that constitute your revenues and that are used to calculate your revenues, your cost of goods sold, your expenses, your hiring plan or full-time employees, your CapEx, capital expenditure, and your debt. So starting with the input, as you can see, each tab is divided into sections. And in order to expand a certain section, you just need to click on the plus button. So starting with the general information, you can select your name, barbershop name in this case, the financial plan start date, the fiscal year end, the barbershop, the opening when you start, when your business actually opens, and then the currency to be used. Second section regarding company specific information, you can select the cash starting balance and the corporate tax rate. So basically how much money you have when you start and how much you are taxed on your income. Then with the quantity, we can start fine-tuning specifically to your business. So how many days you work per week and how many weekend days you are open. So in these particular scenarios that we are building, we select that we are closed, for example, on a Tuesday. So we work 4 days during the week, and during weekend we are open. And we also assume that we have one shop every year, so we don't expect to open additional shops during the time frame of the model. As we can see, we can find the first cell color coded as not applicable. And the reason for that is that 2029, we don't need to fill in 2029 if we start on January 1st, because we forecast the model for a period of 60 months, and the 60 months, if they start in 1st of January, they will end on December 2028. But if I start, for example, in June, then in this case, the model will recognize that we need additional months and it will color it as an input cell. Let's go back to 1 and we expect to see it go back to red. And so it is because we don't need it anymore. Okay, then in the seasonality tab, we can select the seasonality. So if you're open the whole year, you can select open for every month. Otherwise, if you are closed, you can select closed for a given month. And then you can select how many customers per day you expect during weekdays in a certain month and during weekends. So if you expect, for example, more customers during the summer period, then you can add the numbers here. So 20 instead of 15, and for example, 30 instead of, or 25 instead of 20. Perfect. So this basically is the amount of customers that you expect coming in daily in a given month, and then how much those values should grow per year. So every year, so January 2024, if we start in 2024, we have 15 during weekdays, and January 2025, we will have 15 plus 5%. Then in the revenue section, we can select the different services that are open, that are offered, sorry, so haircut, styling, color, hair treatment, and then the services that you input here will create the drop-down that you will find here. So if I add a new category like test one, then we will see that in the drop-down, we have an additional one, test one. The categories here are important because in the financial statements, we will group revenues and expenses based on the categories, not on the individual products or services offered. So in this case, then you can select the item, so the service that you are actually offering, like full cut, bird shaping, haircut, and so on, and the category to which it belongs, the price, how much it grows per year, and the sales mix. The sum of the sales mix does not need to be 100% necessarily, because customers might purchase more than one, right? For example, one customer might get a full cut plus color. So the sum does not need to be 100%, and this constitutes out of, for example, 100 customers that you have, how many select a full cut, how many select a bird shaping, and so on. Then expenses, in the expenses tab, here you should insert the material cost that you incur for selling a certain service. So in this case, maybe for a full cut, you spend $8 of products because you apply certain products on the customers, lotions, and so on. And if it is $8, you just select 8. You will see that you have the products from above and the categories from above, and then how much this cost is expected to grow per year. Then you have recurring expenses. The recurring expenses, again, you select the categories to consider. The categories will constitute the drop-down here. Then you select the individual expense item. You type in the individual expense item, the start date, expense start date, the calculation, so how we should calculate it, whether it should be a share of sales, and so in this case, the model asks you to fill in the share of revenues, or if it should be a fixed amount, and in this case, the model asks you to fill in a fixed amount and how much it grows per year. And the fixed amount is monthly. Then one-time expenses. So, for example, website building, store renovation, the category to which you want to apply it from here. When you incur in this expense and the expense amount. Then hiring plan, again, departments constitute the dropdown, and then you have a role. So you select you type in the name of the hiring, the position, the salary, start date, end date, if any. If you plan to hire them indefinitely, just leave it empty. And then employment taxation and salary increase per year. Capital expenditure, when you incur in it, the amount and the depreciation schedule, so how much it lasts before you need to replace it. And then balance sheet, we can insert the inventories, accounts receivable as a share of revenues, and accounts payable as a share of cost of goods sold. And then in case you have any money coming either from an investor or from debt, you can insert it here. In case you already have an outstanding debt or an outstanding investment, just type in as the investment date or debt issuance date, just type in the start of the model, so the date of the start of the model, and type in the money that you have left out of that investment or the outstanding debt that you have. Then the next tabs are the dashboards tabs, where you can find several information regarding your business divided by several metrics like total customers, average sale price, COGS, and so on, year by year, either only numbers or in the second tab, only charts, or charts and number. Charts and numbers, we can see both chart and the number, and also by expanding the section here, clicking on the plus here, we can see not only year by year, but also the evolution month by month. Then in the financial statements, we can see the three pro forma financial statements, profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. By expanding, so we can see EBITDA, EBIT, net income, all the revenues, balance sheet, total assets, total liabilities, the cash flow statement, operating, investing, and financing cash flow, and so on. The valuation, so the valuation based on certain assumptions, we get to a certain weighted average cost of capital, and then we calculate the free cash flows based on the inputs that you have inserted in the input tab. We discount it at present value with the weighted average cost of capital here, and we get to an implied valuation today, together with some multiples. Then in the revenue tab, we can see, and all in the following tab, we can see all the metrics that contribute to creating your revenues, your COGS, your expenses, and so on. So for example, for revenues, we can see the number of shops, the average number of daily customers, number of sales, the average sale price, the overall revenues and so on. For COGS, we can see, the COGS month by month and item by item, and then summarized year by year. For expenses, the same. Then full-time employees, salary by department and number of employees. And then CapEx, with overall CapEx, depreciation schedule, and residual value. And then the debt, with the bank debt, with all the debts that you might have outstanding, and then the overall amount.